Hola, hola. I am Susie, the head book whisperer extraordinaire for Beauty and the Book, and I'm back with you again today for another edition of Book Talk Tuesday. Oscar de la Renta once said, "My greatest strength is knowing who I am and where I come from, my island." And so, as a member of the Latinx community who is raising two bilingual and anti-racist pequeñitos, it is of the utmost importance to me that I share our identity with them so that they can take pride in the rich culture that they are part of, the history that comes with it, and continue to fight for justice as they grow older. So this week I'll be bringing you several children's books that you can share with your nanas about the Latinx experience and the culture. And they deal with a range of topics from immigration to struggles once we're here in the US to just cute stories that are about our culture. So I'm going to break this particular Book Talk Tuesday up into like 3 different segments. So just bear with me a little bit, okay? So the first group or cluster of storybooks that I want to share with you are poems, songs, rhymes, finger plays, nursery rhymes. My little señorita is about 3.5-ish, and she learns best through music and rhyme and dancing. And so these are a great way to share our language with her, some of the traditional rhymes, and in a way that keeps her attention and that she will really internalize it. So up first is a book called Niños de América. And this is, I want to say that I call them poems, but they're more like little vignettes, and they basically introduce you to kids from different countries in the Americas, like Guatemala and Jamaica. That's not a Paraguay. Okay, and so you just get little snippets of the culture and what life is like there for those children. And this is a great way to introduce your kids to a lot of different Latin American countries, or American countries rather, in little tidbits. And so that's a great one. The next 2 are by the beloved Alma Florada. So we have Pio Peep and Moo Moo. These are bilingual books with traditional Spanish nursery rhymes and animal nursery rhymes that you can teach your children that have been passed down for many generations. And then lastly, we have 2 books, Diez Deditos and De Colores, both by José Luis Orozco. Well, they're selected, arranged, and translated by José Luis Orozco. And these are great, again, because they have the videos on YouTube and you can sing along and dance along. It's just a lot of fun for you and your nenes. Okay, so for our next cluster of stories, I have a couple of books that talk about immigration or life after immigrating to the United States. I did have one more called La Frontera, that's from Barefoot Books, that tells the story of a boy and his father as they immigrate to the United States together, but I couldn't quite put my fingers on it to show it to you today. It might be in my son's room. So up first, we have Soñadores by Yuyi Morales. This book is in Spanish, but it is also available in English, and Yuyi Morales is just a fantastic storyteller. Short, relatable, fun for kids, and the artwork is incredible. And basically what she does in this story is she tells us about her decision to immigrate to the United States with her young son and all of the experiences that they have once they've arrived here. And so this is a really great one. Let me see if I can show you just some of the beautiful artwork. Like here's her. This is them enjoying books at the library, and we're just imagining all the wonderful things that they're reading about. And even discovering the library itself was such a big deal for them. So this is one of my favorites to read as well. And we got to hear her speak when she kind of toured for this book, and it was the most phenomenal experience that I got to share with my little man. And I hope he never forgets it. Up next, we have a bilingual story called From North to South, or Del Norte al Sur, and it is by René Colato Lainez. And basically, this story is about a family who is experiencing life after deportation. And so one parent has been deported, and the other is in the United States with the child, and their experience as they try to navigate that system. So this is another great one. Alrighty, the next set of books we have, it basically talks about the Latino struggle once we get here. It kind of piggybacks with From Del Norte al Sur. So this first one is called Si Se Puede, Yes We Can. It's a bilingual book about the janitor strike in LA and how a whole community of people banded together to fight for fair wages for the workers. So let me just show you a quick peek at the inside. It's got pretty neat artwork, and it is bilingual, so it's got the English and Spanish on the same page. This is a great story. Another great one is called Lado a Lado, or Side by Side. which tells the story of Dolores Huerta and Cesar Chavez. And it basically outlines their life from childhood to how they met to how they worked so tirelessly for better working conditions for migrant farm workers in California. And then finally in this category, we have Todos Iguales, All Equal, Un Corrido de Lemon Grove, a ballad of Lemon Grove. And basically this tells the story of the first successful school integration, desegregation case, I'm sorry. And so basically what happens is that the Mexican families living near the Lemon Grove school went to the same school as all the white kids. But really they wanted them to be separate. And so the district built another kind of smaller ramshackle school closer to where the Mexican students lived and wanted to send only the Mexican students there. But the parents said, no, we want access, we want equity, we want our children to have all of the same great resources that these Anglo kids are going to have in the Lemon Grove school. And so they fought and they took their case to the state, which ultimately said that the district could not do that. The children could not be separated on the basis of race alone, and that they had to have access to the resources available at Lemon Grove. So what a great story about parents who ensured a brighter future for their own children. And our last category is just kind of a mishmash of just fantastic picture books or storybooks to read with your children. So as you know, food and music are such huge parts of our culture, and they're some of what makes it so rich. So these first three books I love for that reason. This one is called Todos a Comer. It's a Mexican food alphabet book. So N is para nopalitos. It's bilingual, so it's got the English and the Spanish, and it's got real photography. So this is a great way to talk about some of those traditional dishes that you'll be sharing with your kiddos, with your pequeñitos. On the tone of music, I have this wonderful book that I got from 51st Word Books in Chicago about Tito Puente, the king of mambo, one of the most iconic musical figures in our culture. And then another staple of Mexican culture is los mariachis. And this cute little book is basically a numbers book, and it practices counting backwards from 10 to 0. And the mariachis, they start out going to different jobs where they serenade people, and along the way they just have all kinds of mishaps. And so they start out with 10 but end up at 1. Este libro está totalmente en español. I think there may be an English version, but I'd have to verify. Also, we have Island Born, or Lola is the Spanish version. This is Junot Diaz's first ever children's book. And it's about a little girl named Lola who describes how she misses her life back home in the Dominican Republic and how it's so different from life in New York. And again, it's just a nicely written story, and it has cute little illustrations. And it's all about how, even though we leave our country of origin, we take everything about it with us. And how we continue to manifest that is how we choose to live our lives every day in our new home. So I really like that book. On the vein of abuelos and abuelitas, I have these next three books. So De Donde Eres is a little girl asking her grandfather where they're from. And it's just a nice story about how you're from wherever you want to be from, where your heart belongs, whether that's the sky or las pampas or el campo abierto. You are who you are, regardless. ¿Qué cosas dice mi abuela, right? How many of those little refranes did you get from your abuela growing up, right? So, el que no oye consejo no llega viejo, right? How many times did we hear about that one? Or, what was the other one? Quien da mucho, recibe. Mucho recibe. So lots of those classic little things, those little admonishments that I'm sure many of us grew up with in a fun and kid-friendly way with illustrations. So this is a good way to teach about like exaggerations and how people often will use like idioms and things like that to get their point across. And then on the same note of the abuelitas is the rebozos. How many of us, our abuelitas, our tías, our moms, siempre usaban el rebozo. They would wear the rebozo to cover them up from the cold. It was a fashion accessory. And this is just a sweet story about all the different things that you can use a rebozo for. So, for example, this family, they use it to make a sash for a pirate, right? Or it is a secret tunnel that leads to an under ocean cave. And so there's just so many great things. I mean, things that we probably grew up doing with our grandparents, or grandmothers, or at the rebosos, or we even let our own children do with our rebosos now. This next one is called Quinito Day and Night, and this is basically a book of opposites. So it's a great way to introduce vocabulary: up, down, high, low, ordenado, desordenado. Just a really sweet little story that is a great opportunity for learning lots and lots of rich language. Beso Kiss is this story about all the different kinds of kisses. They're all different colors, they're all different shapes and sizes, and they all serve a different purpose. And this is a bilingual book, and we really enjoy this one. Señorita enjoys this one because it's short. She doesn't do so well with the longer books, but then she, of course, gives me muchos besitos. And actually, I have one more category of books. How silly of me. So this last category of books are books about notable people in our culture and the impact that they've had. So I'm going to save this one for last because this one's my favorite. But so up first we have Be Bold, Be Brave, Sé Valiente, Sé Audaz, and Fearless Trailblazers, Pioneros Audaces. These are both by Naive Reynoso with Con Todo Press. And they are basically books of biographies of 11 notable Latinos and Latinas and the impact that they've had on our society. And what I love about these is it's very kid-friendly. There's even a board book version, and I should have grabbed that from my daughter's room. But it includes people from sports. She's got these kid-friendly drawings, and the text is short. English on one page, Spanish on the other. Selena, that's my favorite, right? I'm muy excited. And so these books are both very similar. Another great person for a lot of our young boys and girls to look up to is Lori Hernandez. And this is a story about a little girl who wants to be just like her when she grows up, and she watches her on TV. Right? And, it's about, gymnastics is not easy, but it's about not giving up. And so in the end, we see that she is ready to fly. My niece is particularly obsessed with this book right now. This was another steal from 51st Word Books. And then these last couple, this one is called Alas Violin. This is an English version, but I believe there is a Spanish version. And it's the story of Ada Rios and how her town was basically just made of trash, and how she used her creativity to make an orchestra out of the trash. And so what I like about this one is, aside from the great story and the great lesson that you can learn from this about taking care of our planet, you can do activities like making a tissue box guitar or using plastic spoons to make a little maraca and things like that. And so it's just another hands-on way to get your kids learning. And then these two. So we have Diego Rivera, His World and Ours, and Danza, which is the story of Amalia Hernandez and El Ballet Folclórico de México, both by Duncan Tonatiuh. Duncan Tonatiuh's stories are not only phenomenal, but his artwork is so unique and original. And I remember when I first came across him, I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. It's kind of ugly, but I really love his unique style of art. It's so different from anything I've ever seen in children's books. And so another great way to share about two very influential people in our culture. And then finally, this is probably my all-time favorite one. This is called Viva Frida, another one by Yuyi Morales. And it's all about Frida Kahlo and her work. It's a young woman searches, she sees, she explores, and finally she creates, right? I see, yo veo. Aha. So I think what I love the most about this book is that it doesn't have drawings, doesn't have illustrations. When we got the opportunity to hear Yuyi speak, she basically, she described her process for this book. And this book is such a labor of love and time and energy that I think it just makes me appreciate it even more. So if you can see, I'm going to try and get this up close. So instead of photographs, instead of illustrations, Yuyi made a bunch of dolls, wooden dolls, and painted them, and then basically had to position them for every shot. And the photography on this is just so stunning. When I was gifted this book, I was breathless. I was taken away. because of the beauty of it. And my kids love it. So I hope that you have seen some of these books already. If you haven't, I hope that I was able to introduce you to something new that you will add to your collection. I'm sure a lot of them are available at your local public library. Many of them are on Amazon. Or if you want to shop small, look on Booklandia and hit up their bookshop page. And that way, your purchase will benefit this small Latina-owned business. And really, her whole mission is to share diverse books and first voice books and Spanish books. And so I would love nothing more than to see her work continue. So if you can shop small and shop through bookshop.org or .com, I don't know, it's bookshop. But if you go through booklandia.com, you will find it. It's one of the tabs at the top of the page. So, hasta la próxima.